In the quiet suburban town of Amityville, New York, nestled on the south shore of Long Island, stood a large Dutch colonial home at 112 Ocean Avenue. By all appearances, it was an idyllic family home. White exterior, quarter-moon windows, and a view of the Amityville River. But in November 1974, the house became the site of one of the most horrific crimes in American history. On the night of November 13, 1974, 23-year-old Ronald DeFeo Jr. systematically murdered 6 members of his own family: his father, mother, 2 brothers, and 2 sisters. Each was shot execution style as they slept in their beds. The community was stunned. DeFeo initially claimed a mob hitman had killed his family, but he soon confessed. When asked why, he chillingly said, "Once I started, I just couldn't stop. It went so fast." During the trial, DeFeo claimed he heard voices commanding him to kill. Whether due to mental illness or something darker, his conviction led to 6 life sentences, but the house, unchanged structurally, remained. A year later, a new family moved in, unaware that they were stepping into a living nightmare. In December 1975, George and Kathy Lutz purchased the property for $80,000, a bargain for such a spacious waterfront home. They moved in with Kathy's 3 children, Daniel, Christopher, and Missy. They were aware of the DeFeo murders, but they believed their faith and love would shield them. From the very first night, the house proved them wrong. The air inside was heavy, cold, and unsettling. Despite functioning heating, certain rooms remained icy. A priest, Father Mancuso, came to bless the home. When he entered the sewing room, he heard a disembodied voice command, "Get out." He felt an invisible slap across his face and fled in terror. He later fell ill with mysterious flu-like symptoms that would plague him for weeks. George began waking every night at 3:15 a.m., the exact time the DeFeo murders were believed to have occurred. Soon, he became irritable and obsessed. He stopped bathing, barely ate, and spent hours chopping wood in the bitter cold, convinced the house was draining his energy. Kathy experienced vivid nightmares of the DeFeo killings. She'd jolt awake screaming, clutching George's arm, her skin cold with sweat. Her physical appearance deteriorated rapidly. She looked gaunt, exhausted, and several years older within weeks. One night she levitated off the bed, surrounded by a blinding red light. George witnessed it, frozen in horror. The children were affected too. Missy began talking to an imaginary friend named Jody, a pig with glowing red eyes and a human face. She said Jody lived in her closet and watched her from the window. George once saw the creature himself staring back at him from Missy's second-floor window. When he ran outside, he found cloven hoof prints in the snow, yet there were no animals nearby. Dark phenomena escalated. Black sludge oozed from electrical outlets and keyholes, crucifixes twisted upside down, doors slammed violently. A room once used by the DeFeo boys filled with flies, hundreds of them, despite it being the dead of winter. George killed them repeatedly, but they always returned. Walls cracked spontaneously. A door ripped from its hinges. An unseen entity pushed one of the boys down the stairs. George and Kathy's personalities shifted dramatically. They fought constantly, shouted at the children, and sometimes experienced blackouts with no memory of what they'd done. The final night was utter chaos. Doors banged, windows shattered, furniture levitated. The children screamed as they were dragged from their beds by invisible hands. A dark mass hovered over George and Kathy as they lay paralyzed, unable to scream. Chants and demonic laughter echoed through the halls. Terrified, the Lutzes grabbed only what they could carry and fled into the icy night. They never spent another night in that house. Paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, famed for their work with hauntings, entered the home shortly after the family fled. Lorraine claimed she felt a demonic presence the moment she stepped inside. During their investigation, a camera set up in the hallway captured a disturbing image. The ghostly face of a young boy with glowing eyes, peeking from a dark room. No child had been present. The Warrens concluded the house was built on cursed land, possibly a Native American burial ground, and that a demonic entity had latched onto the DeFeo murders, using that trauma to grow stronger. They warned that whatever haunted the house was not simply a ghost, but something ancient and malevolent. Despite countless efforts to debunk the story, the Lutz family never retracted their claims. They maintained until their deaths that everything they experienced was real. While some skeptics call the Amityville horror a hoax, others believe it remains one of the most terrifying and documented hauntings in history. Today, the house still stands. The address has been changed, its exterior remodeled to discourage curiosity seekers, but its dark legacy endures, whispered about in hushed tones. For those who believe, the Amityville house remains a gateway, one that opened once through violence and pain, and may one day open again,